Amazon taught us to get more real estate listings. Here's how. A few years ago, I was searching around on the internet and I was looking on Amazon for some different products. Didn't end up buying anything, shut Amazon down. A couple minutes later, hopped on my web browser and I started seeing ads for all those things that I was just searching for on Amazon. And I thought to myself, why are we not doing this in real estate? And how can I leverage that type of marketing within my lead generation for real estate to get more business? So what I'm talking about here is basically using a custom audience within Google Ads to send ads to people who have visited your website or interacted with you some way online. Now, one of the best examples that I can give you of how we're using this is within listing presentations. And kind of this is the gist and this is how it goes. So when we book a listing appointment, we send somebody to our website and it's a page that has a survey that they fill out questions about their home. Now, little do they know, on the back end of that website is a Google tracking code that then allows us to put them into a custom audience so they'll start seeing our ads. So the really cool thing about this is when you send somebody that survey after you book a listing appointment, they go on there, they fill out the things, we get the information back, so now we have some more information about their home. But the other thing that happens is they're now in a custom audience. So between that point and when we actually have the listing appointment, there's a very good possibility that they will start seeing our ads across the internet. Now, we combine these normally with just a brand awareness type campaign that also is going to other people in our database as well, but it's just something so that they'll start seeing our branding and making a connection. Now, here's where the real magic happens, because what we'll do is in the listing appointment, myself or whoever is doing the listing presentation will ask them, hey, Mr. Seller, have you seen our ads that are running on the internet? And most of the time they say yes. Now, it's not 100%, but most of the time they do say yes. And then we simply say that was actually done on purpose. And we walk them step by step on how we got them to see those ads. And basically at the end of that step by step, we say, hey, if we could get this in front of you, think how we can get your house in front of targeted people to be buyers for your home. You see, the whole reason we do this is because what we found in today's world, sellers don't really care about all your systems and how you've helped other people with their problems. What they care about is how the systems that you have can be used to help the seller with their problems. And it's a great way to show the implementation of our systems and not just tell them what we can do to get their home sold. Now, this is just one example of how we're actually using Google Custom Audiences within our real estate business to get in front of people more often and stay top of mind very easily. And the one thing that I need to point out about this is using a custom audience is a paid strategy. You do have to pay for Google display ads to do this. However, when we're running these ads, we're running them between $2 and $5 a day. But I wanted to make this video to show you guys the process of how to create a custom audience and then how to utilize that custom audience to stay in front of your clients more often. I'm also going to talk about some of the downfalls of this because let's face it, nothing is 100%. You know, this is just one of the things that we do to try to get more business in real estate. If you guys have been watching me for very long, you understand I'm really big on small incremental changes over long periods of time to make big differences within your business. And this is just one of those. Now, it's not 100%. Not everybody's going to see your ads, and sometimes it's going to flop. You're going to be in a listing appointment, and they're going to be like, no, we didn't see any of them. Well, you kind of lost out. You can still explain the process, and it's still pretty impressive when you explain it to them, but it doesn't have the significance if they didn't actually see the ads. But when it hits really hard, and it really convinces sellers that you kind of know what you're talking about when it comes to digital marketing. So I'm going to break it down for you guys in this video with some screen shares and walk through this whole thing. I'm not going to go actually over the specific ads that we run. If this video does well, I might make that one later, but I'm just going to show you guys how to set up the custom audiences and the tracking codes and everything so you can build that and integrate it within the landing pages that you're already using within your real estate business. The other thing, I understand not everybody has a real estate website. Because of that, I'm going to give you another option where you can do a very similar thing, but using a YouTube channel. So basically the change looks like this. You post a video to your YouTube channel. When you book a listing appointment, you send the people a link to that video, and then you can use that video to retarget them before the listing appointment so they can see your ads. It doesn't work quite as good in our experience as having a real estate website that has a tracking code, but it still works fairly well. The other reason I want to include that is because that can be utilized outside of sellers and to nurture buyers. So basically what you can do is you can send your buyers as part of a nurture process to your YouTube channel to watch videos that will help nurture them down the pipeline. And then you can be running ads to that target audience of buyers on the browser through Google Ads so that you're staying top of mind with those buyers. So this isn't just a trick that you can use with sellers, but you can use it with buyers. You can use it with your existing database. It has a lot of different uses within the real estate space. And once again, it's a great way to stay top of mind with people that are already in your lead generation ecosystem than running search ads that's expensive or paying for other high-priced advertising to stay top of mind with people. Now, here's the thing. Okay, like I talk about, if you guys are new to me and my theory on lead generation, my whole goal with all of this is to create education. If you think this is outside your wheelhouse, hire somebody to do it. But my goal with this is that you'll watch this video, you'll learn enough to understand just enough so that you don't get screwed over by a lead generation company that's selling you a bill of goods that's just not true. In order to start this process, we need to start in Google Ads. Now, if you don't have a Google Ads account, you do need to set one up because that is where all of this whole entire process starts. Google Ads is what will give you the conversion code to put on the landing page and also give you the ability to make a custom audience of people who visit that website. So when you set up a Google account, one of the first things you're going to do with a Google Ads account is connect it to your website. So it has a connection that this Google Ads account is connected to this website. Legal disclaimer. Make sure that if you're doing this, you are complying with all regulations, be it federal, state, anything like that. There are some restrictions on how you can do this because basically you are tracking people to run advertisements to them. Now, if you guys have ever gone to a website and the little pop-ups that says allow cookies or don't allow, that is why these are in place, because there are some states that require people to opt into this type of advertising. So know your state and local laws. Now, I will say if you are using one of the out-of-the-box IDX websites, KV Core, Real Geeks, Sierra Interactive, Lofty, or Chime, whatever their name is now, most of those are going to take care of this for you. And the other cool thing is if you are using those sites, it's super easy to plug these codes in that I'm going to tell you so you can start doing this very simply. Now, here's another caveat. If you are using a brokerage-owned CRM site like a KV Core, a Lofty, anything like that that your brokerage owns and provides it to you, before you start running these ads, please call me. There are some really big implications of running traffic to a brokerage level site that can really screw some things up for you when it comes to a cost standpoint and being efficient with these ads. So if you have a brokerage level CRM that has a website attached to it, before you start running these ads, call me. I've got some tips that will help you. I'm not going to go into it in this video, but it's something you definitely need to know. Otherwise, you're going to be spending way more money than you really need to. So step one of this whole process is you have to install what's called a Google tag and a Google conversion code onto your website. And basically what those are is they're really small pieces of code that are installed on to your website and they connect them to your Google account. And then the conversion code or the event code is the thing that you install that tracks conversions. So when you're running Google Ads, basically what it's doing is it's tracking people coming to your website, and then it's tracking the people who are taking the action that you want. For example, signing up on your website as a lead, and it's trying to optimize to get more people like that to your website. So it has to have the Google code on the website itself and the conversion code, and those two things work together so that when someone comes to your website and then they sign up, Google says, that's a good sign up. We're going to try to find more people that have kind of this profile to send them to that website. That's really kind of how Google Ads work. And that's part of the reason that Google Ads, you need about 3 to 6 months to really optimize a good Google campaign, especially when you're talking about search campaigns. You need time to optimize and for those to season so they start getting much better. When you first kick off a campaign, it's not going to be that way. And that is one of my biggest issues with lead generation companies that are running Google Ads for agents is they're making these wildish claims that within 3 months you're going to get a closing, or you might. That's very, very unlikely. I will tell you right now, this ad account we're looking at right now, this ad campaign has been running almost 2 years, and it's still actually getting better and better to this day. When we started this, I think our cost per conversion, where it's $9 right now, it started at close to 20, and over 2 years it's slowly come down because it's getting more data and it's becoming more efficient with finding people that would be good leads and would convert within our system. Little background on Google Ads and everything, but let's get into how we actually put this code onto your website so you can do this. Okay, I've now switched over to a different Google account. First of all, that was an active Google account. It already has a lot of assets that are connected in there. So I wanted to give you guys a real world look at what it looks like with an account that doesn't have anything linked already to it, and that will make sense in a second. In order to make this work, the first thing that you need to do is you need to create the Google code and the Google conversion code so that you can install those to your website or your landing pages that you're sending people to. So to do that, you want to go into your goals tab on Google, maybe, there it goes, in your summary. Now Google is going to automatically give you a couple conversion codes here that are just part of starting up the account, but we want to make a new one. So once you click on create a conversion action, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to select what type of conversion you want. Now we want a website conversion. There are other things, but we're not going to talk about those today. So we want a website conversion. So in here, it's going to ask you to put your website. You're going to hit scan. This is also where you're going to find out if you have a brokerage level website that they already have some Google tags installed on. The one I'm using here, this is a website that we're in the process of building out for a real estate team right now. So it tells you there's no tag found with this. So then what you want to do is you want to go set up. And what's going to happen is you'll hit manual install. It's going to give you this piece of code right here. So this is your Google tag. So you are going to take this tag, you're going to copy it, and then you're going to install it onto your website. Now, if you are using an out-of-the-box IDX website, Real Geeks, KV Core, any of those, there's a specific spot that you just install this. You copy and paste this code into a box in your settings within that website. It's super, super easy. If you are using a custom website, this is where you're going to have to talk to the person who built it. Most of the time, these Google codes go in the header of your website, but you're going to have to talk to the person who built it, or if you built it, you're going to have to figure out where this gets installed, because if it's not one of the out-of-the-box solutions, it can go in a couple different places, but I will say most of the time it's going to go in the header for the website itself. But most people in real estate are using an out-of-the-box IDX solution because, let's face it, it's so much easier than building a custom site. So on any of those, if you go into your settings, it will literally say, normally it says something like Google tag, Google website code, and then there will a box below it that will say conversion event code. So this is the part you put the Google tag in that top box, and then it will install it on all of the websites all the web pages on your website for you. All right, so once that's installed, I went back now. I didn't actually install it. That's why we're getting this not installed yet. I'm not going to install this Google tag on that website because that's something totally different. But once you take and copy and paste that into your website, it will say test it. Now, I will say sometimes it takes a little bit of time. It's not instantaneous when you install that code because it takes a while for it to actually be published to the website. So what I normally tell people is install that little piece of code in the box on your IDX website settings. Hit the publish button or refresh, or what do you have to do to publish the changes that you just made. Give it about 10-15 minutes, come back to Google Ads and check and make sure that the connection's made and you're good to go. But once you have that, it will tell you Google tag is connected and you're all good to go. Then back here, you just go continue. Now, these are where you're going to start making the conversion actions, and that's the event code that actually tells Google that somebody converted or signed up to your website. So because we're doing real estate, we're doing lead generation, you're going to go sign up. You're going to click here on add conversion action, and once again, we're going to go to that website. Now we're going to create a manual entry so that we can basically install that code into the box that says conversion event within our IDX website that we're using. So we're going to call this sign up, hit use event. So now we have a manual entry. We're going to save. Okay, so now you actually have the Google tag. Once again, it's thrown this flag because I didn't actually install it on that website. But we have a sign up goal now, and that's the event snippet. So if we click here, this is the event snippet. So we're going to copy and paste that now on our IDX website in the box right below the Google tag in the event snippet. And it will say, Google event snippet or something those lines. I will tell you this right now, every one of the major out of the box IDX providers that I've ever used, if you ever have any questions, you can normally email them your Google code and your event code and just break it out like that in an email, send it to support, and most of the time they will actually install it for you. It makes your life a lot easier. So the biggest thing is if you can get the Google tag and the event code, email it to them and say, hey, would you put this on my website? A lot of times they'll do it for you and it's much easier. So now that you have that all set up, your Google code is on there, your event snippet is on there, that means your Google Ads account is connected to your website. So now the next step is, how do we make custom audiences based on those two pieces of information being on your website? That's what we're going to talk about next. Okay, I did lie to you. Before I go into the custom audiences, I'm actually going to show you guys how to connect this Google Ads account to your YouTube channel. So if you don't have a real estate website, like I said before, you can send people a YouTube link to a video. And if those people watch the video, they can then get put into your custom audience to start seeing those same ads again. So in order to do that, you need to go back to the main screen of your Google Ads account. You need to go here to Tools. And you need to click on your data manager. And then in here, you're going to go connected products. And then right here, you go YouTube. Now you're going to link your channel. So this is an old channel that I have. I'm just going to use that as an example. All you have to do is hit next. It's going to tell you what you want to use it for. I just let it do everything. That will give you more options for creating custom audiences down the road. Hit next, and then you hit link. Now, this link has been completed. Sometimes when you do this, you are going to have to open up your YouTube app on your phone and accept it, or go to YouTube on a desktop computer and accept the link. Because I was testing this out, I already did that. Sometimes it wants to verify that you are actually the person that can connect these two accounts together. So sometimes it will give you one extra step of, hey, you need to go verify this connection in either the YouTube app or the desktop version of YouTube, so that these two things can be linked together. But very simple to link a YouTube channel to your Google Ads account. There's a ton of cool things you can do with that outside of just what we're talking about today. Now we're going to go into creating the custom audiences. All right, so now we're back in the other Google Ads account that's actually active, because I need an active account to show you guys this next part. So now we're actually going to build the custom audience, because our Google Ads account and our website are linked together with those codes that we installed, or our YouTube channel and our ads account are linked together. So now we need to build the audience so we can tell Google who we want to display the ads to. So in order to do this, you need to go into your tools menu over here. And then under shared library is audience manager. You're just going to click there. So basically, you have the ability to do a couple things. First of all, you can make custom audiences in Google. You can make multiple. I think you can have as many as you want. The cool thing about Google then is you can start adding custom audiences together to get audience segments that you can run ads to. And where this becomes really important is there's limits. So for example, when I'm talking about the sending a listing presentation, those ads in front of people before a listing presentation, when I'm talking about that, the limit to run a Google display campaign right now, and this could change at any point, is you need a minimum audience size of 300. For search, you need 1,000. So you need 300 people. Well, let's face it, very few real estate teams even have 300 listing appointments that often where they can create with just people for listing appointments. So normally what you have to do if you want to do this listing appointment trick is you need to combine it with another audience. My biggest thing on this is combine it with your whole entire database of people that are in your database, all website visitors, because what happens then is you can run a brand awareness campaign across the internet to your database, your website visitors, and then these people who you're going to do the listing appointment with. It will be a bigger audience size. Bigger audience size in Google display ads normally means cheaper cost per click, which means cheaper cost per conversion. So if you can get as many people in this database as you can, you're much better off. But you have to create all these audiences individually and then combine them using an audience segment or a custom segment. So to create the audience, it's very easy. You click on the little blue check mark here. You go website visitors. Okay. We're going to name this website visitors. I know, real creative. Visitors of a web page or of web pages. So this is where you can select if you want specific tags or to whole web pages. So we're going to go specific tags. And once again, your tag that you've just installed will now be on this list. So you click that one. Now, the other thing that I always do is membership duration. So basically this is saying how long do you want these people on a rolling clock. So if they click 30 days, if they click on it in 30 days, they're going to leave this audience. I will always bump that up because once again, I'm trying to get large numbers. So I will bump that up to 180. Because remember, even if you book the listing appointment, these people are still going to be in your ecosystem, right? They're still going to see your ads, and they're just brand awareness ads. They're nothing special. They're not targeted specifically to that person. So you can run these ads across the board. So you do that, and then you create, so we'll select one of them. That's one of the tags that this account has. Create segment. We've now created this segment. Now, I will say this is a brand new website. So when I talk about search or size for search, YouTube, and display, it's not going to have anybody because that site isn't even public yet. So there's no traffic to it. The other thing about this is it does take some time to populate names within, this ecosystem. So you're not just going to have access to that custom audience. Once again, this is a time I say create the custom audience, give it about 3 or 4 days to populate, especially if you have a site that's having a lot of data, it's going to take time. Let's say you do that with that specific Google tag and you don't have enough people, you don't get to that 300 people mark, so you need to start adding more. That is where you can go in here and you can go website visitors and then visitors of all web pages. So this is across your entire website. Anybody who's visited, that will normally push you over the mark. You create this audience. Once again, I make it 180 days. You create this, got to give it a name. All web. Hit create that segment. And then it's there. So now what you can do is you can combine these two segments to get to the minimum number of people that you need in order to run an ad to that segment. Now, what if you don't have a website and you want to use YouTube? So that is where you can go into your YouTube users. So we're going to call this YouTube listing video. So whatever listing video that you send to these people, you're going to go here. We're going to connect it to this one. And now this is where you can select a certain video. So you would click there and then it would bring up an option for which video you want to use to. Now, once again, just like before, let's say that doesn't get you to that 300 people minimum that you need. So one thing you can do is you can create an audience of all your YouTube viewers. Once again, select a channel. And then anybody who has viewed any video in the last, I think with YouTube you can go 365 days. I think you can go a year, we'll see. So anybody who has viewed a video in the last year, yeah, you can make them a custom audience. And then you can combine that with the smaller audience for the listing presentations that you've just created to get to the minimum number that you need. So I hope all that makes sense so far. I'll be right back with you about how we actually utilize these things and also some things that you need to be concerned about when you're doing this. All right, so hopefully you guys made it through that. I know it's a little technical, but I really tried to go step by step so you can utilize it. So if you are technically savvy, absolutely, I think you can do this. You might fumble around with it a little bit, but search YouTube. There's tons of information that you can get if you have questions. The other thing, if you guys ever have questions, obviously reach out to me. In the links in my YouTube channel, there's all sorts of my contact information, how you can get a hold of me, and other resources on how you can follow me in other places, because I'm a lot more active on social media like short form video. I've got a ton of stuff. So you've made those two connections. Now let's talk about some of the downfalls to this whole thing. The first thing, like I talked about before, nothing is 100%. So I have a lot of people that I talk to about this and they just think, oh, I'm going to set this up and everybody's going to see my ads and it's going to be 100%. That's not the case. This is something, it's a small little thing that you can do that over a long period of time is going to boost your conversion rate and get you more deals within the real estate industry. Okay, that is my big thing. I think way too often real estate lead generation companies overpromise and underdeliver. This stuff takes time, and this is something to boost your conversion rate. Because let's face it, right now NAR is saying the average conversion rate in the real estate industry is 0.4 to 1.2%. So if this is something you can implement at $2 to $4 a day, and you can boost your conversion rate on listing appointments by 0.5 to 1%, it's going to be huge for your business long term. So don't think of this as, oh, I'm going to do this and then get all these listing appointments. That's not the case. It's just to give you a little step ahead of the people that you're competing with for listings. The other thing about this too is there's a very good possibility over time this is no longer going to work. One thing that we've seen is the ad blocking technology, especially with the iPhone and other web browsers, is getting a lot better. Now, from a consumer standpoint, I love that because let's face it, it's increasing the level of privacy that we get digitally. From a marketer standpoint, not really my favorite thing, but there's not a lot we can do about it. So that's another thing. As that ad blocking technology continues to increase, this might become obsolete within the next 5 to 10 years. I kind of don't think that's the case just because there's so much money behind the marketing side of this and this tech that I think there's always going to be a way to retarget people who visit your website. It might change over time, but ultimately at the end of the day, there's always going to be there. The other thing about this, I know this is fairly technical. My whole thing and the reason I started this whole entire thing was not necessarily to teach every single person in real estate how to do this on their own, because I understand some people aren't there technology-wise, or you might be too busy. So if nothing else, take what you learned in this video and use it to get some information, gain some education, so that when you do hire a lead generation company, first of all, you know what to ask them for. And second of all, you have enough information that you can make informed decisions and not get screwed over. I've said this before, and I will say this again. I started this channel to really stop real estate agents from getting screwed over from lead generation companies that were taking major advantage of real estate agents. A big part of it is they would be really good in like the e-commerce world, and they realized if we go to real estate, we can charge 3 or 4 times what we were charging in e-commerce because the commissions are so big in real estate. The problem is when you do that, you get a lot of people that have no idea about real estate lead generation. They're very knowledgeable about Google ads for e-commerce, but they're not doing what's best for the agent, and they're way over promising, under delivering. And that is why we have a lot of issues within the lead generation space. Nothing that you do with lead generation is going to revolutionize your business overnight. Most things are going to take lots and lots of time and systems behind them to improve to a perceptible degree. It takes time. And like I've said before on this channel, we started in 2018. We fired all of our lead generation companies, and it took us almost 2 years to really get to a point where we felt like we had actually made a good choice. There was some time there when I almost hired them back. So this stuff takes time. Take this as an educational piece, hopefully, and hopefully you can use this to learn more. I really appreciate you guys being here. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the comments. Also, like I said, link in my bio will take you to all my other social media stuff. I would love to get a follow over there. And if you guys have questions, please reach out. I'm always here to help and answer questions.